We were blown away by this, surprised by this, and shocked to see this. It's day 2 in Cherbourg, France, and we plan to visit the nuclear submarine. But first... So how are you feeling, Gar?
The worst for wear.
Our drinks package.
Hey!
But I feel alright now, just had breakfast, and I'm back in the room. We're just having a little tour of the ship, and I have to say, it is beautiful. And so far, queues haven't been ridiculous. Been able to manage to get a seat. Everything so far has been tickety-boo, wouldn't you say, Gal?
Absolutely.
So after a wonderful breakfast at the marketplace buffet, we were ready to tour the ship, and things were very slowly starting to come alive. First stop, the Sportplex. There was no shortage of seats, and everything was set out really well, with lots of interactive games, indoor bowling, absolutely loads to keep you occupied. But it was this indoor area for ball sports which was the most impressive. The Adventurers Club is for the smaller guests. We then had our first visit to the Sky Lounge, which is an adults only area. This reminded us of the crow's nest on the P&O fleet. But what we absolutely loved about this place was the spectacular views over the pool. This really had a lovely chilled atmosphere, and what a fantastic place to take a morning coffee. We then headed over to the gym. This place is huge, with a wide variety of equipment and fantastic views. It was late morning by this point, but there was still plenty of places to sit. And while it was quiet, we headed over to the casino. In comparison to other ships we've been on, this is a massive place, with rows and rows of games machines and dozens of tables. So if this is your thing, it's definitely the place for you. Next we headed over to the carousel, which is a specialty entertainment area. This has spectacular views with these massive windows, and it's a shame it's not used more during the day. We paid £9 for the show, which came with a cocktail, but more about that later. One of the unique things about this ship is the massive walk-through area over 2 floors. With lots of specialty dining options, you really are spoilt for choice, and you get an opportunity to do some people watching whilst you dine. The TV studio and bar boasted an impressive screen and lots of really comfy seats. Moving on to the theatre. Spread over 3 floors, this is light, modern and airy. Every seat has a really good view of the stage, and there is plenty of legroom. There are multiple steps, but they are really flat and easy to walk up, so they're very accessible, and plenty of accessible seating also. Fancy a spot of shopping? There's everything you need for all sorts of budgets. There's a massive selection of perfumes which you can sample, a great selection of cosmetics, toiletries, fashion items. So don't worry if you've forgotten anything. Some of the items are quite a considered purchase, but there are also some really good bargains. By this time it was mid-morning and we were keen to get off the ship and head to the museum. This was our second time at Cherbourg, so we didn't feel that we needed to go into the town. We also knew that as it was a Sunday, there was not going to be many shops open. So this was a perfect opportunity to visit the museum, which is located right next to the ship. And just look at these amazing model ships we passed along the way. The foyer itself is really impressive with lots of things to look at. But this is nothing compared to what's available in the museum itself. Be sure to mention that you're a cruise passenger, as this will enable a slight discount on your ticket price. And once you've gone through the turnstile, you'll have 3 areas to choose from. You can visit in any order, but we chose to visit the aquarium first. The building is very deceptive, and you would never guess that it boasts such an impressive aquarium.
Oh, look at this guy. Hello, beautiful.
And look at this handsome fella. This really is a great place. Next we headed off to the Titanic exhibition area. This is an absolute must-see for enthusiasts. You get to discover what it was like on the ship. First-hand accounts of survival experiences. The differences between first, second and third class. And actual artifacts from the Titanic ship itself. This was absolutely the most fascinating place, but also quite sad. Then, saving the best to last, we headed to the nuclear-powered submarine. And look at the size of this! You're provided with a sort of DIY electronic tour guide, which explains each part of the submarine as you walk through. And as you enter the submarine, you are greeted by an amazing complex splendour of nautical engineering. At 8,000 tonnes, 120 metres long, and reaching a speed of 20 knots when it was operational, this torpedo-carrying vessel is truly mesmerising. And as you manoeuvre through the submarine, you will find some very tricky places, and you do have to be very cautious on the very narrow steps. Some of the areas are very tight, and I would not recommend this if you in any way feel claustrophobic. This really does feel like a TARDIS and seems to go on and on forever. As you continue, you eventually reach the living quarters. This is where all the officers and sailors lived and worked. This was absolutely fascinating to see. With 15 officers and 120 sailors on board, there was everything they needed to live, eat and socialise. There was even a gym. This lounge looks like a set from Star Trek. And down another set of very tight steps, we enter the dining hall. You could just imagine this being full to the brim. And who can remember this TV with just your 3 channels? Looking at these tight living quarters, I could never imagine living here. And as fantastic as the experience was, it was certainly a relief to get out. The last part of the museum was an opportunity to learn about the science of underwater life and engineering. This was a fantastic interactive area where you got to learn about all the different sounds of underwater creatures using sonar. All in all, this was a fantastic place and well worth the visit. By this time, we were tired and hungry and ready to get back on the ship, but were about to get quite a shock. As we joined the huge queue to embark the ship, we soon realised that we were not going anywhere. This is where we remained for 45 minutes until eventually we made it onto the gangway. But we shouldn't have got excited because we remained there for a further 20 minutes. Frustratingly, we couldn't go back, but what was more annoying was that the yacht club were walking straight on. We really felt like we were the third class on the Titanic. Eventually, we made it on board and we went straight to the hot tub to rest our tired legs. And we had the most amazing views of Cherbourg. And look at this handsome guy. By this time, the pool area was getting packed, with people making seating area out of the stage. And then it was time to leave Cherbourg. And as we were waved goodbye, it was time to head back to the room to get ready for the white party. But first we headed for the Carousel Lounge for one of the most spectacular shows we had ever seen on a cruise ship. Wish we could say the same about the free cocktail though. And after all of that excitement, it was time for a little bit of calm. And we were lucky enough to see the sunset from the restaurant. There we were joined by our new friends, Steve and Maggie, who were ready and raring to go for the white party. Now this is what I call white noise. This was brilliant and everybody made such an effort. And the atmosphere was incredible. Everyone just wanted to let their hair down and party. The whole of the pool area was full of people dressed in white. It really was beautiful to see. It kind of had a bit of a carnival atmosphere. And so much fun. This was our first ever white party and we loved it. Dressing in white is not obligatory, and there were plenty of other places on the ship where there were lots of people dressed casually or however they wanted to. So don't be put off if this is not your thing. So, Gar, I've had a good time. Well, I am a bit disappointed because I couldn't order pizza. I just couldn't work it out. But luckily, dessert crisps is like what I like to call them. There we are. What I will say is look at this. We are waking up to the beautiful aurora passing our window. It was only a few weeks ago that we were on this ship and we had the best time. Well, other than the Bay of Dismay. And as we had our final walk around the ship, we were ready to disembark. And what better way to be welcomed home than a display of the Welsh flag? Well, I have to say, that was the quickest disembarkation ever. It is now what's the time? 7 minutes past 8. 7 minutes past 8 and we are back in the car. We've just paid for our car parking, which came to £14. Again, ridiculously cheap. And we are on our way. So, yes, we've seen lots of vlogs about horrendous queues to get off an MSC ship, but we did not experience that at all. And we're off.